It's July 26th, 1184, and inside Erfurt Castle in Germany, King Heinrich VI is hosting the most important political meeting of the year. 60 of the most powerful nobles in the Holy Roman Empire are packed into a second-floor hall, debating land disputes and alliances. The room is crowded, the air is thick, and beneath their feet, the wooden floor is creaking. No one notices. They're too busy arguing, politicking, making deals. These are the men who control empires, command armies, decide the fate of nations. And in about 5 minutes, most of them are going to fall through the floor and drown in a giant pit of human excrement. This is the story of the most undignified mass death in medieval history. Let's set the scene properly. Erfurt Castle sits in the middle of Thuringia, and it's hosting what's essentially a medieval summit. King Heinrich has gathered all these nobles to settle a land dispute involving Ludwig III, the Landgrave of Thuringia. It's tense, it's political. Everyone's dressed in their finest clothes, trying to look important. The meeting is being held in a large assembly hall on the second floor of the castle. And here's the critical detail no one's thinking about. Directly beneath this hall is the castle's cesspit, the latrine, the place where all the waste from the entire castle has been collecting for years. And the only thing separating 60 powerful nobles from a literal lake of sewage is a wooden floor that's been slowly rotting for decades. The floor creaks again. Still, no one notices. The meeting has been going for hours. Voices are raised. Fists pound on tables. This isn't a friendly discussion. This is nobles fighting over power, land, and money. The room is packed beyond capacity because everyone who's anyone wants to be here. King Heinrich is at the front, trying to keep order. Ludwig III is defending his position. Other nobles are shouting opinions, forming alliances, making threats. The floor creaks again, louder this time. A few people glance down, but the meeting continues. These are medieval buildings. Everything creaks. It's fine, except it's not fine. The wooden beams supporting this floor were never designed to hold this much weight. Medieval construction was functional, not engineered. And this particular floor has been sitting directly above a cesspit for years, exposed to moisture, rot, and decay. The beams are weakening. The planks are sagging. And with every argument, every stomped foot, every noble leaning forward to make a point, the stress on the floor increases. Another creak. This time it sounds different, sharper, like something giving way. A few nobles shift uncomfortably, but no one leaves. You don't walk out of a royal meeting. That would be disrespectful. Weak. So they stay. The tension in the room is building. The argument is getting heated. Ludwig is shouting. Another noble is shouting back. King Heinrich is trying to restore order, and then, crack! The floor doesn't collapse all at once. It happens in sections. First, a plank near the center of the room splinters, then another. Then, the beams beneath start snapping like twigs, and suddenly, the entire center of the floor gives way. 60 nobles drop through the floor and plunge into the cesspit below. The fall is 10 to 15 feet, not enough to kill on impact, but enough to disorient. They hit the surface of the sewage, thick, putrid years of accumulated waste, and sink. Imagine the scene. You're dressed in heavy medieval robes. You just fell through a floor. You're disoriented, and you're now waist deep, then chest deep in human waste. The smell is overpowering. The darkness is absolute. The panic is immediate. Men are screaming, thrashing, trying to swim, but the sewage is too thick. Their heavy clothing drags them down. Some manage to grab onto the edges of the pit. Others claw at each other, trying to find anything solid. And above them, the few nobles who didn't fall, including King Heinrich himself, are staring down through the massive hole in the floor, horrified. The king is standing on a section of floor that held. He's fine. A handful of others are fine. But most of the room just vanished into a pit of sewage. Down below, the situation is deteriorating fast. The pit isn't just unpleasant, it's deadly. The sewage is deep enough to drown in. The walls are slick stone, impossible to climb. There's no ladder, no rope, no way out. Men are begging for help, reaching up toward the hole above, but the survivors can't do anything. They don't have rope long enough. They don't have a plan. And people are drowning. The rescue attempts are chaotic and desperate. Some servants rush to find ropes. Others try to form human chains. reaching down through the hole. But the distance is too great and the sewage is too deep. One by one, nobles stop thrashing, stop screaming. Their heavy robes pull them under. Their strength gives out. The sewage fills their lungs. Count Heinrich von Schwarzburg is one of the first confirmed dead, a powerful nobleman, reduced to drowning in sewage. Bishop of Mersburg, gone. Multiple counts, lords, knights, all drowning in the same pit. Some of the nobles near the edges of the pit manage to grab onto stones or debris. They cling there, gasping, covered head to toe in filth, waiting for someone to pull them out. A few are eventually rescued, hauled up by ropes, vomiting, traumatized, but alive. But most don't make it. The final death toll? At least 60 nobles dead. Some accounts say more. The exact number is lost to history because, frankly, no one wanted to document this in detail. It's too humiliating. King Heinrich survives because he was standing in the right spot. Pure luck. A few feet to the left, and the Holy Roman Empire loses its king to a toilet. Ludwig III, the guy this whole meeting was about, he also survives. He was standing near the edge of the room when the floor collapsed. So the two most important people in the room, fine. But dozens of the empire's most powerful nobles, dead in a cesspit. The irony is almost too perfect. The aftermath is a logistical nightmare. They have to retrieve the bodies from a cesspit. The servants and workers tasked with this job probably quit immediately or demanded hazard pay that didn't exist yet. The bodies are pulled out, cleaned as best as possible, and given proper burials, but there's no hiding what happened. Everyone knows. Word spreads across the Holy Roman Empire. 60 nobles drowned in a toilet. It becomes known as the Erfurt Latrine Disaster, and it's remembered not as a tragedy, but as a punchline. Medieval chroniclers recorded it with barely concealed amusement. This wasn't a heroic battle death. It wasn't a noble sacrifice. It was powerful men, dressed in their finest clothes, falling into a pit of excrement and drowning. The political meeting they were having? Completely overshadowed. Whatever land dispute they were arguing about? Forgotten. All anyone remembers is the toilet. King Heinrich continues his reign. Ludwig III keeps his land. Life goes on. But for the families of those 60 nobles, there's no dignified way to explain how their father, brother, or husband died. He drowned sounds tragic until someone asks, where? And you have to say, in a toilet. History doesn't remember them as heroes. It remembers them as the guys who fell through the floor. So here's the lesson. If you're attending a meeting in a medieval castle and the floor starts creaking, leave immediately. Don't worry about being rude, because 60 nobles learned the hard way that sometimes the most dangerous thing in a room isn't your political enemies. It's poor architectural planning. The most powerful men in the empire, brought down by rotten wood and bad plumbing. Such is life, or in their case, such is death.